Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Charity from the Mo Better Life, and we are going to talk about tofu. I want to talk about ways to prepare tofu so that it tastes good, so that the texture is good, and you can really this will serve as your base that you could add to a lot of different recipes to add protein. So tofu is a good way to add protein if you're worried about getting enough protein in your diet. So women, you need to make sure you get about 46 grams of protein a day. Men, about 56 grams. If you're pregnant, you need about 70 grams. So you really need to ramp up protein. So if you're on a plant-based diet or living a plant-based lifestyle, tofu is often a staple. Some people do have a soy allergy. They can't really tolerate tofu. So they may get their protein from other places like quinoa. They may use lentils, black beans, garbanzo beans, peanut butter. So many other ways that you can get protein on a plant-based diet. But tofu, good way to do that. Low in calorie, very delicious, takes the flavor of any dish, and can reduce your risk of breast cancer. So tofu is good for you. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So the way that I prepare tofu as a black person, I like to actually boil it. I actually learned this from Sauce Dash as a way to reduce the fluid content of tofu. Before we boil the tofu, we are just going to cut it in large pieces so that we can actually increase the surface area that the flavor is going to seep into. So this is just a block of extra firm tofu. So they sell it everywhere. I like extra firm. Extra firm is going to have the best texture, or super firm. The firmer the better. Sometimes you may want to use soft tofu if you're going to do like some kind of like soup that requires a little softer tofu. But for the most part, for most dishes, extra firm works. Some people call it high protein tofu. They're all the same. All the same thing. So now we've cut this into strips, and we're going to add 3 cups of water to this pan. Normally I'd use regular tap water, but I'm doing this so that you can see what I'm doing. 3 cups of water. So you're gonna add some type of broth or some kind of base. This is better than bouillon, no beef base. So this has no meat or no meats were boiled, no animals were harmed in the making of this bouillon. But this is to add kind of a beefy flavor. So Better Than Bouillon also sells like a chicken base, or you also can use your mushroom seasoning here. But just use some type of bouillon or a seasoning that will allow you to kind of infiltrate the tofu and give it some flavor. I just put 1 tablespoon and then to the 3 cups of water. So just 1 tablespoon, and I just dissolve. Just kind of put that in there. This is just to boil the tofu for 2 purposes: to add flavor, and it actually improves the texture. So boiling it really helps to actually get the water out of it. It's almost like you're doing some kind of osmosis, like pulling the water out of it by using this salt water. Alright, you just go ahead and lay your little fillets in there. So then you're just gonna lay it in. And so, if you think about this, just like chicken, tofu really starts off bland. It has no flavor. Chicken without seasoning has no flavor. So you have to season it in order for it to taste like something. Of course, you're going to season your tofu more. You're going to add a sauce to it. But this is just to kind of get it started. Trying to get it started and improve the texture. Alright, so we take this over to the stove and we'll boil this for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alrighty, so now we're over to the stove, and so we have the temperature to high heat. And we're just bringing the water to a boil. And so the goal of this is to boil the tofu fillets so that the water that the tofu was packed in will come out, and we will infiltrate the tofu with the broth flavor so that internally it can taste good too. And also we will give it a good texture. So right now we just have it on high heat, just water, bouillon, tofu. When it starts to come to a rolling boil, then we'll set the timer to 10 minutes. So right now, ours is almost boiling here because you want 10 minutes of boiling. So it has been boiling now for about 10 minutes. And now it's time to turn your stove off. And now it's time to let your tofu rest a bit. Then at this point, you can decide what you want to do with your tofu, because like I said, tofu can be used in a variety of dishes. Right now what I'm doing is I'm using a spoon that has holes in it to take it out. Just like how you would let your chicken rest after you cooked it. Part of it because it's very hot, so it's hard to cut very, very hot food without burning yourself. Let the fillet stand on their own. When I cook a block of tofu, I may use like a block for a variety of purposes. So you may use some of that block to like make a tofu sandwich. That's a very common thing. So just so that you can see what I did here. Basically, this is it out of the boiling water. We're just gonna let it rest. Then we're gonna use half of it to go into the air fryer, and the other half we're gonna just set aside. You can put it in a taco or put it in a wrap, cut it into blocks, and you can do it like almost like a tofu wrap. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but right now you've just infiltrated flavor into your tofu. It serves a variety of purposes, but I'm gonna show you how to cut it into blocks so that you could put it into your stir fry. Alright, so now that we've let our tofu rest a bit, put some of it on our plate here. Part of the reason I'm just doing half now is because I don't have a big air fryer and I don't want to overcrowd the air fryer. Most of the time I just throw it all in there, to be perfectly honest, but your tofu is going to come out better in the air fryer if you kind of give it space. So it's good not to overcrowd. If I had a big air fryer, I'd do it all. But the rest, I'm just going to save the rest for a tofu sandwich later. Love a tofu sandwich. Alright, so I'm just cutting this into blocks. Move your knife out of the way so you don't cut yourself. You know, we're gonna add some spice, so you know, use your teaspoon. Normally I don't measure, I let the ancestors guide my wrist, but because of y'all, I'm gonna measure it. So I'm gonna have a little teaspoon. So I have a little teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I like spice. Give it a little shimmy. You could do less if you don't like as much spice. I like spice. Then I'm gonna do some paprika because this kind of gives you like a smoked taste. And we'll just do just a teaspoon of that paprika. And then we're gonna put some all-purpose seasoning on there. So your little French fry seasoning that I really enjoy. Now, honestly, you know, the broth gave it, I would say, enough salt. But if you feel like you need a little more salt, then I would use the Joe's French fry seasoning. If I had a lime, I would probably squeeze a lime on it right now to kind of add a little bit of sourness as well. And you could also add maple syrup as well if you want to do like a sweet, salty, sour kind of thing. So I've done that before. You can have a mighty fine seasoning just with some spice, with some paprika, and some seasoning salt. A lot of times what I'll also do is I'll just put those seasonings, but I'll marinate it in the fridge overnight. Just like how you would do with chicken. You see that? So that's a seasoned tofu. You started off with a white tofu, but now you have it look seasoned. So now you're gonna pop this in your air fryer. So you got your little air fryer basket. I like to line my air fryer basket with silicone baking mat. Prevents sticking and it makes cleanup very easy. I'm a big fan of silicone baking mats. So get you one. I think it really makes your life much easier and it reduces the need for oil. So a lot of times people, when they're cooking their tofu, in order to get it crispy, they feel like they need oil. You don't need oil, you just need air fryer. And then you try not to crowd your tofu too much. Air needs to circulate in order for you to get that crispiness. So that's it. Popped in there, pop in the air fryer, and that's it. So we have the tofu in the air fryer and we've set the temperature to 370 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. And that's perfectly fine. You're not gonna burn your tofu. It's really important to know that when you're cooking food in the air fryer that you give at least 5 inches of space behind it. I usually just try to have nothing behind it. And the reason is because air fryers work by circulating air. Hot air comes out the back and it can burn your wall if you have it pressed against something. So don't push your air fryer against the wall. Leave room. So what I do is I just turn it to the side and then I just let the air, go about its business. Or I turn it all the way around where the air is going towards the center of the kitchen. And that ensures that I'm not gonna burn the wall. You got crispy tofu right there. Okay, so that's it. So it's fried. So you can use this and you can pop it in your stir fry. You can put it in a wrap, like I said, with some lettuce. So here I just have some red pepper hummus. You can do like crispy tofu bites. Little snack, high protein snack. This is kind of like your base that you're going to use for a lot of different dishes or just by itself. I often, if I'm on a rush, headed to work, I'll just get a tortilla, I'll get some kale with some hummus or something, or guacamole. I have a wrap there with some tomato. So tomato, lettuce, tofu, you got a tofu wrap. That's it.
So definitely I'm going to sneak in and get some stuff.
Try it, yes. Now it's spicy. We did a teaspoon of cayenne pepper.
And is it the hummus?
That's the hummus.
All right.
Now the hummus can help attenuate, calm, turn it down.
Attenuate?
Attenuate the.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Tofu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. So that's the paprika, cayenne pepper. Yeah. This is a high protein snack because the chickpeas in the hummus also has a lot of protein, and then tofu has protein. So this is a nice high protein, build some muscle. This is that vegan muscle type snack. Vegan muscle snack. Pop it in your stir fry. I like it with the hummus. All right, so that's it. Thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. See ya.